I noticed you guys are just fresh off a cross Canada tour with Chris Tomlin. How did that go?
It was great. It was awesome. It was my first time to Canada, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, how about you, David?
Oh, it was awesome. I've been through Canada before, so it was good to be able to see the whole country and see it all. Realizing more and more that there's nothing in between cities, and that you have to check your gas gauges at all times to make sure you don't run out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, literally, and not even a bathroom, I'm sure.
It was great though. I mean, we loved each city we went to. We met some really incredible people, and it was just a really neat experience for us.
Awesome. And without having a bias, of course, what was your favorite city? Just off the record.
Oh, you're gonna put the pressure on you right now?
I'm not gonna say, just so I can get an honest response out of you guys.
Favorite city? I think I loved Montreal.
Oh yeah?
Loved the feel of the town, but I also loved the hearts of the people. Not that it was much different in other cities, but it just felt like there was a hunger there for the Lord, and we just had we had a really great conversation with some folks right after the show, and so it was just, to me, it was a memorable city.
Nice. Oh yeah, Montreal is definitely beautiful, very historic. So, how about you, David? What was your favorite city?
We got to, from the perspective of just how beautiful it was, we got to see Quebec City.
Yeah, old Quebec.
It was very European. It really felt different. So that was a really, really cool spot to be able to be in.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an equivalent city in the States that looks like that.
I don't know if there is.
I can't, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So we got that leg up on you guys. So congratulations on that. I'm glad that the Canadian tour went well and you got to see how nice we are. So, so talk to us a little bit about season 1. I've honestly, to be honest, I've been obsessed with this album for the past 2 weeks. I've had it on loop on my iPad, my iPhone, everything. So I'd just love to hear about if you could walk us through kind of the songwriting process and what inspired those pieces for this album.
We started writing kind of in seasons, like with our church. So we started writing for our community, and when we started writing, we were kind of in the season of learning and healing, and so as we kind of walked through that with our church, we wrote for EPs, so short records, and so we did the first EP, which was kind of this EP of really kind of healing and trying to get healed up and whole, and the second EP was kind of this emerging from that place and figuring out how to walk out life in community with each other and other believers, and so then we kind of put the two of them together and made it season 1, because for us it was one full season of our church life and worship, and so we feel like the church kind of goes through seasons, and we're headed into a new one now, and we're kind of writing for the next season of our church as well. So
wow,
yeah,
it's actually interesting you say that you were kind of writing from the perspective of a church body almost. But for me, I listened to songs like "Reason to Sing," and I mean the first thing I thought of was, wow, this is really personal. So I just thought it was amazing that, you say it's congregational really, but it just felt so intimate and personal. So how were you able to translate that so well?
Because it was personal.
Yeah.
Reason to Sing sparked from a conversation that Leslie was having with her sister, with the struggle to be able to have a child. Just the pain, the questions, the confusion that goes along with it. At the same time, me and my wife were going through the same situation. We had been trying for much longer than we had, but we were at the beginning stages of what we thought of not being able to have a child. Having something that you want so badly and you feel like that you're not allowed to have it. We write so much from from the Psalms and the perspective of David, and how he would cry out to God and ask him why he wasn't here. But we talked about so much of it. But at the end of those Psalms, you always see that David comes back to the realization that God was good. And
Yeah.
He's really good, and He's always been there. So, reason to sing was speaking out those frustrations. I think that's been the thing with all of the songs that we've written, or we wanted to speak truth and we wanted to speak honestly about how we felt. We didn't want to just, and that's how our church is. Our church is vulnerable and honest, authentic, and he had to write the songs the same way.
That's awesome. So just talking a little bit about worship in the church, you know, obviously different churches have different styles. You could come from different denominations and whatever, you know, the background may be. But, you know, as I guess you would define yourself as worship leaders or worship artists. I noticed on your website you're called worship designers. Now, talk to me a little bit about what that means and just in the context of congregational worship in the church.
Our pastor would like to come up with creative names that what they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been one of those things where, you know, some words have carried baggage with some people, and to be able to come up with new ways of new languages.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way to be able to step away from that baggage. So yes, we are worship designers, and we have a cartography team, and our pastor is a navigator.
Good word.
It's a real new age church.
Apparently. So as the worship designers at Journey, what is worship to you? You know, obviously you guys are musicians as well, but I mean, just reading up on you, you don't see worship as just music. So what is it to you?
I think worship is a response. So whatever that looks like. I know we've kind of put worship in a box, and we call worship music.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how people define it. But I don't know. There have been times when I've worshipped through my tears, and there have been times when I've worshipped in my silence. And I think God receives anything that we offer Him when we come holy and ready to give. And I think it's easy to say, okay, well, that can only happen through your song. But if you read through the Psalms and you read through Scripture, the moments of intimacy with the Lord, to me, are worship. So when people are praying, like, to me, when Jesus is praying in the garden, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's a moment of worship. Like, he wasn't singing a song to God, but he was having this really intimate moment with the Lord. And then there's also moments when you can praise, and singing is really appropriate at all times. And obviously, we're songwriters.
Yeah.
For us, that's a way that we express worship, but we love to incorporate other ways because we feel like maybe there are people out there that would engage in worship differently if we gave them new ways to engage. And giving them the freedom to engage differently, uniquely. So it's we've experienced a new freedom in worship when we let people go there.
So, I mean, in your opinion, like, even for, I mean, obviously you say Journey is more of a, you know, forefront kind of very artistic church. How would you encourage other congregations who may not necessarily, I don't want to say encourage different forms of worship, but are very held back by, you know, traditional forms of worship? How would you, as a band, encourage that, or as I guess, worship designers per se?
Yeah, and I was on the blog this morning. A guy had kind of written something similar to that. Like, they didn't want to, they kind of want to abandon the tradition of church because he didn't want it. It had this bad stigma, you know, to it. And he was saying, like, I just don't want to fall into the old nature of church, the old ways of church. But I think I think there are elements of church that are so appropriate. Like, it's not that they're necessarily tradition; they're just timeless. Like, they're things that kind of transcend time and space and culture and giving and praying and taking offering, taking communion, singing songs, hearing a message. All those things I feel like are still around, not because people are telling us we have to do it that way, but because it makes sense, and we know we need to learn, and we know we need to receive, and we know we need to give, and we're emotional people, and so an emotional response is a lot of times through singing and an artistic expression, and so it's not that tradition is bad, and we definitely don't, we're not trying to do church a new way. We're just trying to engage in some of those timeless elements of church and go, how can we make them come alive again?
Yeah.
And I think for churches that might be in a tradition or in a traditional rut, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe just having the conversation about how can we do communion differently, or how can we switch up the way we lead our songs? Can we do more songs on the back half and less in the front? And just having a conversation about maybe rearranging some things to bring new life to Sunday mornings. Not that you have to change it completely or do things exactly the way we do them. We do what we feel like is appropriate for our church, and we just encourage other worship leaders to dig in and ask those same questions.
You know, I recently just turned 24 years old, and a lot of my friends are, obviously in the same age group, and a lot of my friends are also believers and actively involved in the church. But a trend that I'm starting to see now, which I, even writing for the Podium, is people are just kind of weary of the traditional, the 3 fast songs, 2 slow songs, How can we encourage young people, who say have been going to their family's church for years and years, to kind of push past just the boundaries, so to speak, and just really press into worship, even given whatever resources they do have? Because I find that with young people, it's just becoming, it's difficult to push past that.
That's a great question. I think like what I was saying a second ago, you kind of have to look at some of those traditional elements in a fresh way. And some churches aren't going to do that for you. And so it can be really easy for young people to go to a church and be real judgy. I know I have that tendency.
Oh, yeah.
The way something's being done, I'm going to think to myself how I would do it better or do it differently. And
yeah, for sure.
But I would just challenge people to press into those moments that feel uncomfortable or unusual, and dig into the spirit in those moments and go, God, what is something new I can learn about you through this? Because God, to me, if the word is being spoken and people are gathering, God is there.
Yeah.
And we don't know everything about him, so he has more to reveal about himself.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you're a part of a congregation that's stale or not moving, and you're not in a position to help that church move forward or engage in a new conversation, which I also think is the responsibility of the young people in the church. Don't just complain about it, but be the change.
Do something,
encourage new ways. But if you can't be or you don't want to be, then press into the Spirit, and God, I feel like God will reveal new things about Himself to people. And I don't want that to come across as preachy. I don't,
No.
I know for myself personally, I have a tendency to go there too, and so it's stuff I have to remind myself all the time. That it's important that we're always pressing in to relationships with other people and to the Spirit.
That's awesome. So what do you guys have coming up for you in terms of a tour or any performances? Are you guys going to be coming back to Canada anytime soon?
Not right now.
Aw.
We're going back in the studio soon, and EP number 3.
Okay.
From excited about, and then we'll be hitting the road again back in September. We'll be doing conferences and one-offs through then, but we're gonna be hitting it again, and we're excited to see some more of the country.
Awesome. So just moving forward, what's the goal for All Sons and Daughters? Which actually, by the way, before you answer that, I had this question earlier that I was curious about. Why the name? What's All Sons and Daughters?
I mean, All Sons and Daughters came about just because we wanted it to be more than just me and Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
About our congregation and about the people that we were in community with and were writing songs for and with. So it had to do way more than just us. So we wanted a name that encompasses all of those things.
Sounds good. So
to answer your question of, what's the plans for All Sons and Daughters? The plans for All Sons and Daughters is to continue to be in community with our church and continue to live that life and go in the direction that God's leading our church and building relationships continually. We're not that band that has like a 5-year plan or is trying to come up with the next big thing to change worship. We're people who are really, rooted in our church.
Gotcha.
And we take that seriously, and that's the place that we want to be, and that's the people that we're digging into. So we're excited to see what God's doing. He's doing some really great stuff in our church, and just the excitement that's been happening. So that's our plan.
Sounds good. Sounds like a great plan to me, actually. You guys, I just wanted to thank you, David and Leslie, for spending this time with us. Definitely going to be looking out for that next EP. And yeah, I wish you the best in all your endeavors and looking forward to hearing more music and just pressing in worship along with you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. You have a great day.
You too.